Charles. Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Greetings from Antwerp. Thank you, Captain Subra, for initiating this webinar. Before I go into the presentation, just a few words about the organization IAPH in case you are not familiar with us. We've been around for some time. As you can see, we were founded in 1955, 65 years to the date. We're a representative organization of world ports and related associate members, and we are recognized by a number of UN agencies where we have official NGO status and are especially active these days at the level of the IMO, the International Maritime Organizations. We initiated the World Port Sustainability Program back in 2018, and that will be the main topic of my presentation today. And as an organization, we focus on three main areas these days, which are climate and energy, data collaboration, and risk and resilience. This is the overview of what I will share with you in the next 10 minutes, starting really with this colorful picture, which is the sort of the basis of the United Nations 2030 Agenda for Sustainability. It was adopted by world leaders in 2015, and this picture really represents the goals of this agenda. There are 17 sustainable development goals, which each have specific targets. And the aim is for government and industries to reach these targets by 2030. As you can see, they cover almost every aspect of life, ranging from no poverty to peace and justice to climate action, you name it. It's all part of this philosophy, which is based on the well-known triple bottom line principle, combining people, planet, and profit. And the key to these SDGs is really integration. It's meant to be a package. It's not something where you say, oh, I like especially number 2 or number 10, that's where I will focus on. The idea is to work in an integrated way, both governments and industry. And that is the reason why we decided a couple of years ago to launch a specific program for ports. How they can work with these SDGs and strive towards the achievement of the 2030 agenda. The program was launched in 2018. We took the initiative, but as you can see, we are not alone in the program. There's a number of other international and regional port-related organizations that are partners in the program, and I'm very pleased that one of those partners is also in the panel here, Ports Australia, with Mike Gallagher, who will talk about their initiatives in a minute. What do we want to do with the program? Well, first of all, we want to stimulate the exchange of best practice through an online portfolio. We also want to be a portal for all those partner organizations to share their sustainability initiatives. And we want to also make room for, breeding ground to be a think tank really about new collaborative projects. And we want to report about the sustainability performance of the sector. And we actually produced our first report in 2020, in April this year, and I will share the link to that report through the chat. You can also find it on the website, of course. Now, 17 SDGs, it sounds a lot, and to make that a bit more tangible and more applicable to the port sector, we clustered them in 5 thematic areas which connect, we believe, to the daily business of every port. And you see them here on the slide: resilient infrastructure, climate and energy, safety and security, community outreach, which includes port-city relations, and governance and ethics. Now, as I said, one of the key or cornerstones of the program is a portfolio. It's an online portfolio where every port in the world can share their sustainability projects, as long as they correspond with one of the 5 themes, and normally they should, because I think every project is almost can be related to those. You are welcome to upload your project. It's very simple. You can do that online, and there are no restrictions. You don't have to be a member of IAPH. You don't have to be a member of any of the other associations. As long as you are a port manager and you have a tangible, concrete sustainability project that you would like to share with the rest of the world, you can do that online. Currently, we've got 120 projects in the database from 70 ports around the world from 40 different countries. It's not only sharing, we also want to promote excellence, and that is why we connected an award scheme to this portfolio. And here you do have to be a member of IAPH if you want to participate in the competition, where we try to really reward those ports that really stand out in the different categories. It's done by a professional jury and a public vote. And these are the winners from 2020. And as you can see, one of the ports there is also with us today, is the Maritime and Port Authority of Singapore, who won the award in the Community Outreach and Port City Dialogue category. If we look at these 120 projects that are in the portfolio, and that is also the analysis that we have done in the first World Port Sustainability Report, you will see that some SDGs are clearly much more popular than others. Numbers 9, which is about industry and innovation infrastructure, 11, which is about sustainable cities, and number 8, which is about decent work and economic growth, they score very high. And that makes sense because, of course, ports are in essence are infrastructure. They are part of the economy. And they are followed in number sort of 2 category by good health, well-being, partnerships, and climate actions. And then we go further down the list. If we look at the same portfolio and we look at the thematic areas, there you can see that by far the most popular category where we have most projects is in the theme community outreach and port city dialogue. And again, that is probably not a surprise because the relation with the community is extremely important for a port, for its license to operate and its license to grow. Second category is climate and energy, and then that's followed by resilient infrastructure. And again, the same picture, if we look at what our partners are doing, we see climate and energy and community outreach coming out as the most important and most significant categories. Now, you could say that ports therefore appear to have a sort of partial approach to sustainability with a strong focus on community outreach and on climate and energy, whereas of course the UN 2030 strategy is about integrating all these goals and try to do something about each one of them. And that's of course easier said than done because some of them may be rather remote from the daily business of port operations. What we've tried to do to help is to sort of make a menu of options for each of the SDGs with examples of what ports can do to contribute to each of these goals. It's a bit difficult to read on the slide, but you will find it in much more legible terms in the report that we published in April. Now, does that mean that you really have to put all your efforts on all of these SDGs? Well, no. I think one practical approach to deal with it is the so-called Olympic approach, which amongst others Port of Antwerp in Belgium is following. And that Olympic approach can be summarized as follows. It means that you want to qualify for all the disciplines. Like in the Olympic Games, you want to send a team to each of the disciplines. But you're really going for the medals only in a limited number of categories where you think, categories that are most relevant to your port, to your environment, to your stakeholders, to the place where you are. That is a sort of practical approach that you can follow. And Mike and Aranda, I'm sure, will go deeper into this as to how you can make a strategy that is tailored to your port, but at the same time follows the overall integrated approach of the SDGs. Working with the UN strategy and the SDGs, I think, is for many ports today still a matter of creating greater awareness. I think a lot of people associate sustainability only with the environmental component, whereas there is much more to it. And creating that awareness, especially among middle management, is something that we want to facilitate through a game, an educational game that we developed called Port Endeavor, which sort of simulates real-life situations in ports for different type of ports and confronts players, managers, port managers, with typical sustainability problems and how they would have to deal with those. The game should have been on the market already, but unfortunately, due to the cancellation of our World Ports Conference in March, where we were supposed to present it, we had to postpone it. It's, as you can see from the tests, this is one of the test games we played in March. It's a board game, and with social interaction rules, distance rules, it's not so easy to do that these days. So we are currently looking to make this in an online version available. To conclude, just a quick snapshot of the IAPH agenda. As I mentioned, we focus on 3 strategic areas: climate and energy, data collaboration, risk and resilience. You see some of the topics that in our technical committees we are working on. And of course, there's the interaction with the regulatory agenda, especially of the International Maritime Organization, where we are involved in some of their committees working on greenhouse gas strategy, on trade facilitation, on digitalization, and a number of other areas. Of those three areas, climate and energy is probably the one where we have the longest tradition, and I just wanted to show these two flagship projects where we're really stimulating wider participation of ports, especially from the Asian region. The Environmental Ship Index is a toolbox that allows you to compare the environmental performance of ships, and where you as a port authority can try to give incentives to those that are performing very well, for instance, to reduction of port use or other incentives. And the other toolbox that we have is on dealing with bunkering of clean marine fuels. Of course, we all know the shipping sector is going through an important energy transition phase, and dealing with safe and secure bunkering will become a very important issue. This toolbox is based on our experience with LNG, but will also be applicable to other fuels. And if I may just end with a short publicity for our annual conference. As I said, it was supposed to take place in March this year. We had to postpone it till June next year in Antwerp. But in the running up, we are also organizing a number of webinars, one that you can also still watch. Those that have been broadcast already, you can still watch on the website. And we've got two more coming up in October and November. So that's what it is that I had for you as an introduction. Thank you once again, Captain Subra, for the opportunity. And I look forward to the presentations and the discussions. Thank you.